Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Still, around the world, there is so much fear, there's so much tension. What is going to happen? What is going to come? People are frustrated. We should do something, we can't do something. It's good to learn to accept certain things, even if we see them. We cannot directly do something about it. We are not, most of us are not in a position to do something about it. At the same time, it doesn't matter if we are a bit informed and see certain things going on which seem to be very destructive. But we don't have to be afraid. There are things we can change. What we can change is the way we experience this whole story, the way we experience day after day, hearing information, positive, negative, be detached from it, but not indifferent. See what's going on, but be detached and connect with that aspect in ourselves that is not affected by it. If we make peace in our mind, then we contribute to world peace. If we keep on our mind being afraid, full of tension, agitated, we contribute to the global tensions and agitations and destructiveness. So let's change what we can change. Then our own life is very different. In spite of what is happening, we can joyously go from day to day. And as we are not islands, but everything is connected, if we make peace in our own mind, it is radiating, it is contributing to what is happening in the world, it's influencing. That we can change. There's no point in worrying about what we cannot change. I see there is just again a delivery there. So sometimes there is a noise there. You have to deal with it. After all, everybody longs to be happy. And most of the people don't feel very happy. Why? Because we are making our happiness dependent on how things are going, on the circumstances. And okay. That should be. And as long as we are making our happiness dependent on the world being the way we want it to be, then of course we can never be happy, because it's never really going the way exactly we want it to be. In the big picture, and also in little circumstances in our day-to-day world, so many things may go against our grain. But the happiness comes out of our own self. Why? Is that natural longing there in everybody for happiness? Because deep down we know that is our natural state. Our natural state is full of joyousness. We need not seek it somewhere outside by accumulating possessions. We need not seek it in circumstances, in ideas, in company. The happiness comes out of ourselves. Deep down, everybody knows that. That is our natural state. And if we feel unhappy, naturally we longing to come back to the natural happy state. And if we look at the world and worry and worry and worry, then we cover up that happiness. So let's make peace in our own mind. Become aware. We have always access to the source of existence, the joyousness that is always there, unaffected, unconcerned by what is happening. Okay, the truck who is empty, that stuff is about to drive away, so we'll have a bit less noise after that. Here now, timeless. We have always access, no matter what's going on in the world. If more people do that consciously, that creates such a force that automatically the external circumstances are being influenced and start to adjust. So we can do something about it. We can maybe not go out and change what is happening directly, but we can contribute that a change to the positive, a change to a state of harmony and peace and joyousness in manifestation can be brought about. So let's contribute our share. We are always the first to benefit. If we do so, our life is peaceful, harmonious, joyous, even in a world where there is externally so much tension and disharmony. Okay, my friends, let's stop talking away like this. So I'm asking you, is there anybody there who is ready to come in? Please, you are welcome to come in.
Hari Om, Werner.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Maria.
Lovely to see a demonstration of focus. Perfectly illustrates the part of my question, because I was feeling for a couple of days, and my mind was rather scattered when I was working
Yeah.
jumping from one thing to another, you know, not really with a lot of resistance to get deep into something specific.
Yeah.
And I was experiencing, and I know these things come when I don't have any pressure from outside to have to deliver things on a particular time, and when it's admin work, which is not something that naturally I will do very willingly. So I was experiencing that, and it's very unsatisfactory. I can feel it. I feel much better when I get on with something and I focus and I complete. And I found a quote by Sivananda, which made a big impact and got me motivated to focus. He says, "The rays of the mind are scattered in the case of the worldly minded persons. There is dissipation of mental energy in various directions. For purposes of concentration, these scattered rays have to be gathered by the practice of concentration, and then the mind must be made to turn towards God." So when I was reading this, suddenly I felt more motivated to train my mind when I am at work to focus.
Right.
And I wonder whether you could comment on this a bit, on this focus concentration, because I had never considered that when I am doing that with mundane tasks, in a way I'm training myself for meditation,
Right.
not just the other way around.
Not just you are meditating to train yourself to be successful in the mundane world.
Yes. Well, I mean, I know it's not just that, but that's a part of,
Right.
and success, it means to do the right thing. So
yes, we can learn to stop to make such a distinction. Yes, to distinguish so strongly between our spiritual time and our worldly time. You are a conscious living being all the time. Not only when you are meditating or doing spiritual practice, but all the time. So, of course, in the day-to-day life, there may be often things we are doing, we feel we have to do, which are not the most pleasant things to do, which we not necessarily would choose now. If we could choose what I'm doing right now, and then there is a certain resistance, and that resistance contributes very much that we cannot focus, that I feel, oh, I don't really want to do that, and then the mind is wandering off much easier. So it's good to have a good look at ourselves and see, okay, there is that feeling of resistance, and then accept that feeling and relax, and then just go for it in spite of the feeling of resistance. And if you are then consciously going for whatever work you have to do, even if it's not so pleasant work, then you can become aware. Actually, this in itself becomes a spiritual practice, that seeing how the mind is putting up resistance and then not giving way to that, but just relax and go about it in spite of that, that is a way of going deeper into yourself. And then concentration, we don't have to like try to concentrate with big willpower all the time. We can do that for moments. Okay, I see the mind is racing, so for a moment, use your will, but then relax and be more just observative. And then the thoughts will start to calm down gradually by themselves, and concentration happens by itself. And then when we start to concentrate even on unpleasant tasks, suddenly you become aware. If you are focused there, then you're also connecting more with yourself, and there is a joyousness in it, and then it doesn't matter so much externally, whether we like the job to do or don't like the job to do.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can use your worldly tasks to become more concentrated, which will help you in your spiritual practice. But as you thought before, that also is happening. If you are getting more focused in your spiritual practice, it becomes easier to deal with the worldly challenges that come. We can learn not to make that separation, but okay, it's very good to have some time where I'm not busy with something else and can focus my undivided attention in one way or another to go deeper. But then bring that attitude in your work and become aware. We are always spiritual. There is just that play of consciousness, of energy, of love. And if we focus on that, observe that, and then deal with the circumstances and do our jobs, then even offensive jobs stop being so offensive. And if we are not more feeding that resistance, it's also easier then not to be so easily distracted.
Yeah, thank you, because it really, what you are saying confirms what I have experienced, which is when I go into the task, and regardless to how mundane it may look, at the end, it feels really good.
Yes. Yes. Right.
So what is that? I mean, I just wonder, what is that? Where does that satisfaction come from?
It comes from that awareness that there is an intensity here now. When we are all over the place, when we are always distracted, then it's like we are throwing out our energy in all directions, and the experience is very superficial, and there is not much intensity in it. That's why people are doing their jobs, but then run for excitement to have a bit intensity. Because in that intensity, you are connecting more with yourself, and there is more joyousness in it. And if you are bringing your attention to the present, you are connecting with that intensity of existence. And even if you do that while doing the most mundane work, that intensity brings joyousness. And so after that, even if you have done a real banal, mundane job, you feel satisfied because you are alive, because you are aware, because we don't go half asleep through the thing, and we don't feed, or without being aware that we are feeding it that sense of, oh, I don't want to do this, and that the bad mood that comes along with it. But instead of that, just use the situation, no matter whether it's pleasant or not pleasant, whether it's offensive or not. Use the situation to bring the attention to the present and be conscious of what's going on. And there we are touching the source, and that intensity of creativity and joyousness starts to come to the surface, and we can be perfectly happy simply sweeping the floor.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, I find it easier sweeping the floor or cleaning. That's not something I have any problem with. Is when I'm doing admin things that I feel they could also be done much more efficiently, but institutions and systems have their own pace and ways. And then my mind starts questioning. That's when it gets hard, because my mind starts saying, well, this could have been done, could be done in half of the time, if only, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
And also because I feel there is this belief that there are certain things that are a means to an end. Mm-hmm. And that itself does not help.
Yeah.
Because it's like I am always on the way to getting somewhere.
Yes. And of course, On the material level, you can also say so. Most of what we are doing is the means to get something done. But spiritually, there is not something that you have to do now in order to get somewhere, but it's the opposite, that we learn to be here. And this is the path and the goal and the means and everything. And of course, what you say, yes, I can see. It's easier to sweep the floor and be happy than to have to deal with impossible people, and that you can think it could be done so much easier. And there you can decide, okay, maybe I'm saying something, maybe it helps to do the things more efficient, more logical, or you can accept, okay, that's in spite of that, it doesn't need to make sense. I still can be here now. And then actually, if there is a strong mental resistance there and this is not good, and we can see that and learn to observe it and detach, then that very energy that we are spending to resist, if we turn it back to our own self, that very energy can drive you even more into your own resources. So it's always starting with ourselves. It's not that we first have to change the circumstances and then it will be all right. Be in harmony with yourself. And then we can still change circumstances if it's possible. And if it's not possible, then we deal with them as they are.
Thank you very much, Werner. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That gives a
You're
lot of guidance. Yeah.
welcome.
I'll do my very best this week to focus on that.
Yes,
See.
I wish you well.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? We are here for that. What we just discussed with Maria. It's not that there is that real world out there and we have to deal with it, and this is material and mundane. And then if we have some spare time, we can be spiritual. You are a conscious living being. You are divine. Never born, will never die. And from that timeless position, the being is projecting certain aspects within this magic show, within this time-space continuum. And then that projection somehow self-identifies instead of being aware, okay, I'm playing a role for the sake of learning, for the sake of experiencing, for the sake of getting enriched, not essentially changing and yet getting enriched through the experience. That is forgotten and we identify with the role, and then we have all these pleasant things and these unpleasant things that are so powerful if we identify with it. And if we stop doing that, then okay, still on this level, it's pleasant and unpleasant, but we don't mind. Because We are continuously that spiritual being, not sometimes a mundane and sometimes a spiritual being. We are a conscious living being experiencing this dream-like existence, and we can be aware of it. It's not as real as it appears to be. We don't have to take the whole damn story so serious. We are here, we are projecting into this magic show in order to gain experience. So even if all the range of emotions is there in a human form, let them come, see them, observe them, and let them go. Don't get swept away by them. Don't get pulled down in dark places by them. Don't think your life has to be always happy, joyous, fantastic emotions, because emotions, they come, they go. Sometimes you have to face emotions that are not so pleasant. And then if you learn to observe them instead of being swept away by them, then we can see even offensive emotions. They can be quite fun if we don't resist. If we don't think it shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this, then the whole life becomes magical from moment to moment. Then there is not that strict line, spiritual time, mundane time. Still, it's helpful having some time where we can focus, where we are not distracted, and then bring that focus in a playful, joyous way as good as possible in all the daily routines, in all the daily circumstances, and in the most mundane stuff we have to deal with it. This is a magic show. We are not a limited, separate person. This person is just a character in this theater. We play this person, we play this character, we play this role, but actually, deep down in our sense, there is that joyous beingness, unconcerned, unaffected. And yet, miraculously, somehow getting richer and richer through the experience. Then, even in times like this, where there is so much tension in the world, when we can see people around being worried, suffering because of the worries, suffering because of the fear, having the tendency to be pulled into dark places, still we can connect with the joyousness, with that divine essence. Then our life is full of creativity and beauty, and actually in that way we are contributing the greatest thing, contributing the greatest thing that we can. We influence the surroundings, we give something into the collective consciousness that helps others also to connect easier. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to talk? You are welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Leora.
So in regards to what you said now, I've realized a long time ago, but this week it was clearer. The mind is very tricky.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So Now, when you said about when we suffer, we tell ourselves, or like we want it to change. But what I notice is that I don't tell myself, sometimes I do want it to change, but often, maybe more often, there is a level of suffering, higher or lower. There is restlessness. So there is suffering. But like suffering equals, I don't want it to be that way.
Yes.
But this part of the, I forgot the word, but this part I don't want it, I want it to change. Somehow I'm not aware of it. So I'm stuck on the part of the story that I'm suffering. I know, I've heard it so many times before, of course, because we don't accept, because we want it to be different than it is. This is where the suffering comes from. But the mind does it tricks somehow, and then
Yes.
I'm stuck there.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you are stuck there mainly when you are not quite aware what's going on, when you are not even aware that you're really producing suffering, but just somehow are stuck in the mood of it. But the moment you remember, because you have heard it already so many times and you have opened up in that direction, then sooner or later the memory comes. Ah, hey, look, there I'm going again, and there you can start to brood about it, but why have I not seen it and then be in it? Or you can at that moment just step out and observe it and see what's going on, and then learn to let go. And then the situation may not be pleasant because of that, but the suffering disappears.
Yeah, this is exactly what happens to me. So actually, so yeah. Yeah, I can feel what you just said now. It's not pleasant, but it's not so much of a struggle, really. There is less of a struggle there. There is less of trying. Yeah, I guess.
An unpleasant situation will still be an unpleasant situation. But
Right.
if there is not that resistance there, consciously or unconsciously, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. Then it's not growing into suffering. Then it's just an unpleasant situation. We have to deal with it. And as the situation has come, the situation will go again. They don't stay.
Mm.
Now, acceptance,
Yeah,
it's again, I've talked about it before, but again, I want to make sure acceptance is strength. Acceptance has nothing to do with being defeated and giving up and think that's how it is, I cannot do anything, oh, it's terrible, but that's how it is. This is not the acceptance. This is being defeated, feeling defeated. Acceptance simply means that I accept right now the situation as it is, as I experience, and if then I feel I have to give in my creativity, my life energy to somehow change the situation, fine, then I can do that. It's not being defeated. We can very well contribute our creative, conscious life force into a situation to improve it. There's nothing wrong with it. But accept that the situation is as it is. And then I'll try to change it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And if we again not resist against the fact, if I have not succeeded in changing anything, then this becomes playful. We don't suffer because of that. Suffering, what I mean with the word suffering, is that mental anguish that is resulting of the inability of accepting the now, the fact of the experience of the now. This is strength.
Yeah.
This is not weakness. This is not being defeated. This is not letting say, okay, I cannot do anything, it's too bad, but and then get more and more like into a dark space because of it. Acceptance means to connect with the truth now. Okay, I am here now, unaffected, unconcerned, but the situation is as it is. The experience is as it is. Then I can deal with it. And sometimes I can change it to the better, and sometimes it doesn't work. That doesn't produce suffering. So.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I imagined something like that I'm not used to what you've just described, because, you know, I guess not only me, we're so used to object and to change. If we don't like something, we want to make it better. All the time we are busy in, you know, making things better, even if they're better enough, good enough, better enough. So this, what you've described now, is somehow a new experience to notice, actually, because I can feel what you're talking about. I know how it feels when I accept from strength and from concentration and from, like, yeah, being here and now. I know how it feels. But again, you know, the habit all the time pulls, of course,
Yeah.
pulls back. Yeah, of course. This week I visited a friend in Jerusalem who I haven't seen for a long time, and she has been in great physical pain and medical, health issues, but also obsessed with an issue, life issue, with something in the building where she lives.
Yeah.
So after all this time that we haven't seen each other and haven't spoken much, I actually, she was so obsessed, she could almost only talk about this. And there was no way I could put a word in there anyway. And I actually noticed that I could just listen to her, and they didn't have anything, I literally didn't have anything clever to say to her, because I saw the situation. I saw that there was no way I could put
Can
a
you
word,
hear?
and she's practicing also Buddhism. She's very deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's somehow connected to what we're talking about, because usually when somebody tells me something and they're in trouble, then I maybe can give them advice, but with her, it was so extreme that it just brought me to this place where I just listened to her with compassion. And then I made her soup, and like, really, I couldn't give her any advice. I didn't want to give her any advice even.
Right.
Just listen to her.
Many times this is the best thing to do, not to start to give lectures, but to just listen and be there and connect. And then if you feel an opening that you can tell something, yes, but if you tell something and you don't feel that opening, then you meet simply more resistance. On the other hand, if they feel that you are capable of listening to what they are telling, then they connect with you. And if you, in your experience, still connect with yourself, then actually you help them more than if you try to give them many advices.
Yeah. So this, I'm just telling you because this I feel I can also do with myself.
Yes.
Like me and the other me, you know, me and the voices somehow
yeah.
practice this. Just listen with compassion to all the nonsense.
To all the nutty stuff that goes on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Hari
welcome.
Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to talk? You're welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Werner, I have a question about fear. I have it in my mind, and as I thought before, that the main fear is the fear of death. And recently, I heard that there are two main fears. One of them, fear of death, and the other is fear of pain. But I found in myself a very strong fear of disgust. So feeling of disgust, I saw in myself very strong. And yesterday I ran around the lake and saw a dead mole, and I took a stick to put it away from the road, and I saw it very clear, and it was not very beautiful, yeah. It was smell was not good, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, and in my mind I saw something that I watched many years ago, maybe some movie, something awful, like some people were tortured and they were forced to eat something like this, very disgusting things, and then stuck in my mind, and I felt so much fear and disgusting, like it is going on with me. And I tried to convince myself what you say, that we are divine beings and not touched by all this, but it's so difficult, Werner, to detach from it, because it occupied my mind, and yeah, I understand that this is not real, but I see how, for me, it's so difficult to detach from these thoughts, from this feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But then you started out saying you were afraid. You're afraid of that feeling of disgust. And so what? If sometimes that feeling of disgust comes, so what's the problem? Then let it come and observe it. And don't resist the fact that you're feeling disgusted. And then if you are not more feeling disgusted and at the same time resist against feeling disgusted, but accept, okay, just now I'm feeling disgusted, and then invite it to feel like this and observe what is really happening. See how it is affecting you in your body and energetically, then suddenly the feeling of disgust doesn't become so disgusting. Then you lose the fear of it. Then sometimes that feeling of disgust comes, so what? You see it, let it be there for some time, let it go, no big deal.
Yes, but in my mind I see these pictures, and that it's going on with me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's so awful, yeah.
Right. Don't be afraid of it, that this is going to happen, that you are going to feel like this. If you are afraid of it, then first deal with the fear. As we have been talking a lot of time, how to deal with fear, just don't fight the fear, but accept the fear. see what it is doing now and relax, learn to relax. And if the fear of another feeling, like disgust, goes away, then that other feeling is much easier to deal with. Then sometimes it comes. And if you are not hooking into it and feeding it by either just fighting it, because we feed feelings when we fight them, or by sort of getting a victim of it and feel swept away by it. But if you just accept, okay, there comes that feeling again, and then you are observing it from a detached position, and then you will start to learn it's not that a big deal. Okay, there is certain things that make you feel disgusted. So what? Then nothing wrong with it. If you are not after that becoming destructive because of it, then it's just an emotion that comes, is there a moment, and goes.
Okay.
It's
Yes,
not that you have to
emotions.
now make it into your goal that you never ever should feel disgusted about anything. I mean, I can imagine so many things. When I imagine that, I feel, ugh. So what? Then I feel a moment, it's there. If I don't fight with the feeling, then it's just an emotion that comes, that goes, and doesn't leave a trace. It's not that then after that you should somehow berate yourself and think, I shouldn't feel this kind of negative emotions after all my spiritual practices anymore. As long as you are appearing in a human form in this world, the whole range of emotions is there and can pop up any moment. But if we learn to deal with them instead of making them bigger, then they are just waves. They come, they are there a moment, they go, they don't leave a trace. There is not a problem about it.
Yes, and I think it's important to take attention from these pictures in my mind, because when they come in my mind, they take me very strong. I should
Then,
take this attention to something else. Yeah.
yeah, then let the picture, when the picture is there and that feeling of disgust comes, then just redirect the attention to that experience of the feeling. See what the feeling is doing right now to you, physically, energetically, emotionally, intellectually. See how it is affecting your experience, and then if you don't hold on to the picture but focus on the reaction, on the emotion, then this becomes actually quite an interesting thing to really observe. Most of the time people have no idea what is happening when an emotion comes, but if you start to observe, it becomes rather interesting, even if it's an offensive emotion.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Werner.
Then you become like a scientist in the laboratory. You observe your body like a scientist looks at an experiment in the laboratory.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Werner.
And if it happens that you are getting completely swept away, you completely forget, then the moment you remember, then never mind, then you start it. So what? This moment that where you have been swept away, that you forgot, that it was overwhelming, it's already gone. But now you connect. Now you observe. Now you relax, and then it's not so terrible. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Werner. Thank you very much.
You're
Hari
welcome.
Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to talk? Something that Leora said at the end is quite important. When she described her experience with her friend, and actually the best thing was just to listen with compassion. And then she said, and I'm learning now to do that with myself. And this is an important step, that instead of we are doing something, we are feeling something, we are thinking something, and immediately there is that whole old habit there of judging. This is okay, this is not good. This is very good, this is very bad. I'm not good enough. Start all that thing which we have learned to do while growing up in this world, because it's so habitual, it's so all over, everybody is doing it, and in a way we are encouraged to do that all the time. Instead of becoming just aware what's going on. We don't have to close our eyes and no, I don't want to see. Yes, be aware what's going on, but not indulge into judging all the time. This is good, this is no good, this is good, this is no good. Okay, this is happening. And listen to the mind that its woes and its complaints, and with compassion. Compassion to yourself. We have to learn to love ourselves before we really sincerely can love anybody, anything, before that real love can radiate from us. As long as we are standing in judgment over ourselves all the time about what I did is not quite good, I could be better, I'm not good enough, then of course that feeling is also radiating out, and we are judging everybody and everything all the time instead of just being alive, conscious, here now, being aware that I'm connected with everything, and let that joyousness of that awareness flow out. And this joyousness, this flow of joyousness is the real love. First we have to love ourselves. Become aware. Love is an aspect of our true nature. Consciousness, energy, love. And if we don't stop it all, if we don't handicap it, it naturally radiates, it flows out. But having grown up and identified with the role that we are playing, the person, me, then in order to be a good person, then we have all the conditioning from the upbringing there, and against that conditioning, the tendency is all the time to stand in judgment, to evaluate, this was good, this was bad, this was good, this was bad. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, after having done something and we become aware, this really can be done in a much more harmonious way, in a much kinder way, in a better way, that is perfectly all right to see that and learn from it, and intend that in a situation, similar situation, I will do it differently. But this is not what I'm talking about. That judgmentality is always an emotional, energetic thing that is, instead of being expansive, making the experience smaller and painful. Have a honest, good look at yourself and see what's going on. There we may see many things which we think, oh, their improvement would be good. Fine, nothing wrong with that. Without emotionally starting to judge, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. Okay, I'm here for that. I'm here for learning. I'm here for growing. And I'm able to do so in a playful, joyous way, more and more. Then I feel that love of existence, which is self-love. And if that self-love is there, then that love can also radiate. So it's a very good idea. But Yora said that as we can learn to patiently just listen to people, we can learn to patiently observe our own chattering mind. And not judge all the time, just observe. And then, if we are not always with strong emotions feeding that current of thoughts, we will start to calm down. And when the thoughts are calming down, we are becoming aware there is peace, not in the mind. There is naturally peace in existence, prior to the mind. But with the calming down of the thoughts, with a quieter mind, we start to become aware of that peacefulness which is always there. And in being in contact with that peacefulness, we are in contact clearer and clearer, more and more conscious with all the three aspects of that expression of divinity. Energy, consciousness, love. It's always there. It's the first expression in its pure form, pure energy, pure love, pure consciousness. You are that, you are never apart from that. And if we stop being all the time engaged in judging ourselves, berating ourselves, or judging the world and berating the world, judging the past and berating the past and the parents and the teachers and society, to stop doing that, then that inner beauty, that inner consciousness, energy, love has a chance to flow out and manifest in a beautiful, creative, harmonious way. There's a lot of self-love talk on the, I see it in the social media. I think it's very much a trend in the more new agey type of teaching, which I'm not in any way want to belittle. It's the way people are responding. But then sometimes people misunderstand loving yourself, that you are doing so many things in order to satisfy your personality. One can do that, there's nothing wrong. But it's not really that is the real self-love. The real self-love comes through self-awareness. We are anyhow actually loving ourselves all the time. It's that longing for happiness, that wanting to come home into that state of natural joyousness. That self-love is there. We don't have to produce it with buying beautiful clothes and doing a lot of things in order to love myself. Nothing wrong with doing those things. But self-love goes deeper than pampering ourselves, our personality. be in touch with life, with the timelessness, with your true nature. And you become aware that self-love is there. And in that awareness that the self-love is there, we open up and naturally it flows. It flows in all directions, simultaneously, impersonally. Then there is the emotion love that comes and goes like all emotions. It sometimes comes strong, is directed at a person, at a plant, at an animal, at the scenery, or just at a concept, an idea, an imagination. It's an emotion. It comes, it goes. Sometimes it's directed here, sometimes there. Sometimes it's more broader, but it changes all the time. That is not that love that is equal and for everybody, everything. The emotions, by definition, change all the time, but this self-love, this awareness of joyousness in the timelessness of the now, if we stop handicapping it, if we stop creating tension that prevents it from manifesting, that simply radiates, and that is impersonal. It flows in all directions to everything and everybody, like the sunlight. It's giving light to everything and everybody. Whether the ones who are in the light are being aware of it, recognize it, appreciate it, or not. I'm asking once again, is there anybody who would like to talk? You are welcome to come in.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Dayal.
I just want to share my feeling. I not formulate a question, but maybe you will comment it somehow. Yesterday, I was observing my spiritual way in my life. It's already more than 30 years, and I see that I try hard, sometimes did some efforts, some travelings, but I'm not satisfied with result what I get. So I not made a successful spiritual career yet. Yeah, and I see that I'm still depending on something. For example, I like to meditate on the spiritual paths, or meditate with a group, or follow someone, some guru or something. But alone, I'm not so strong. So I'm not really able to meditating, for example, like you was meditating was for many years. Yeah, and I get frustrated. So what, what to do? How to change myself? And maybe in this life I should accept that I'm not becoming independent and very strong spiritually. So I have to try this, try that, looking support of here, support of there. So maybe you can comment something about it.
Right. You have very much the idea you are only spiritually busy if you are meditating a lot. And since you are a meditator, you have meditated for a long time, just continue meditating, but don't draw any comparison. Like you mentioned my story, okay, for sometimes I didn't do anything else, but I couldn't help it. I could, that was my story. It doesn't mean if you would meditate more time, then your spiritual career would be better. And you are independent. You are that spiritual being. It's not that you should somehow like accept that you're not going to get anywhere spiritually in this lifetime, maybe. No, be aware that you are free and independent here now. You are that goal that you are looking for. And if you think that maybe I'm not good enough to reach that goal in my lifetime, then maybe the story starts all over again. I have to continue, and then you are projecting something that you have to reach into a future while it is here now, timeless. You are that spiritual goal you are looking for. In the meantime, you can continue meditate. It's helping to brush out, to clean out the house every day a bit, to brush out unnecessary stuff that we are accumulating, that it makes it easier to become aware of what is. It's not that you have to somehow in future become independent. Your mind is creating the sense of dependence, and then you look something to depend to. At the same time, if you can find a group, as you can, to meditate with them, and you feel supported, it's absolutely nothing wrong. It's not that you have to think I'm weak, and because of that I go to the group and I should be capable of doing that all by myself. You can do it for yourself, and you can do it in a group, but at the same time, it's time that you let a bit more go of that idea of reaching a goal sometime in the future somewhere. This life you're experiencing now, right now, you're conscious. Right now, you're alive. Right now, you're breathing. Right now, this is here. What we are looking for is not somewhere far away, a goal to reach. So maybe you can exactly practice that. Be a bit more compassionate with yourself. Look at yourself not in a judgmental way of, hey, I haven't done my spiritual job good enough, so that's I haven't really gotten anywhere spirituality as far as I concerned. I expected better results, but okay, I've done that. It has helped me, but I am here now, and learn to relax in that here now instead of standing in judgment over Dial, in judgment over Mikhail, that has not done his job properly. Use that energy to see you are free here now. You are independent here now. You are that spiritual bounty that you are looking for already here now. It's not apart from you. Not feeling defeated by, okay, sort of I missed the train. I missed the train for this lifetime. You are on the train, and the train is driving, and this journey is the goal, and the goal is the journey, because you are alive, consciousness, spiritual here now, timelessly. You cannot be apart from it. It's here, it's now, it's never absent. So you cannot possibly miss it. You cannot miss the train in this life or in another life. But you can stop being tense about it. I know when that feeling is there, I should see something. I should get something. I should experience something. Some damn thing should happen. I know that feeling very well. But if we keep on holding on to that, then actually that in itself creates a tension that has most probably been necessary to keep us on the way for some time. For all these years, it has been good to hold on to it to a certain extent, to keep going, but it's time to not learn not more do that anymore and relax more. Meditate because you know it's good for you, not because you think it's a duty. If I'm meditating now, finally I'm getting the reward for it. The reward is here. You are the reward. The goal is here. You are the goal. The way is the goal. The goal is the way now. You cannot miss it. You cannot think that maybe I will miss it in this lifetime. How could you? You cannot possibly be apart from that. Practice that compassion to yourself that we have been talking about, of not more judging yourself as a person. I'm not good enough. Hi, Dial. Hi, Mikael. Not good enough. All right. I meditate, but in the meditation, not with the attitude I have to meditate in order to reach something, but I meditate because it's intensifying that awareness of being here, of being alive, of being now. And if you start to do that more relaxedly, then this kind of ideas will start to drop off, of maybe not getting anywhere. And the joyousness of existence is being given a chance to come more to the surface, be more aware of it, and manifest more and radiate more. And then we stop also comparing. Oh, this one guy is better than me, this one, after all, I'm better than that one. Then we just spontaneously radiate our own inner spontaneous beauty, and that gives a joyousness of life. Then the idea of a goal to be reached is becoming more and more just a memory. You are open that the experience can unfold, and it will unfold, and it will continuously unfold, and there's no end to it. But that struggling of getting somewhere, we can drop that eventually. And I think it's the time that you can open your heart to let that go and be loving with yourself. All right, I have done my job. Maybe it was not always perfect. So what? It's the past. But here now, I am. And the capacity that you are here now, capable of looking at yourself in a much different way, has to do with all the work that you have been doing. So no point in thinking maybe my work was not good enough. It has brought you here. And now, in order to open up a new chapter on the path, you can more just bring the attention to that sense of existence instead of keeping it with the ideas of reaching a goal, however you want to call it. Be with that sense of existence and relax in it. And more that sense of fulfillment starts to bubble up out of yourself. And then there is no more need of judging, thinking maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not getting it. You are that. You cannot be anything else but that. Here now. Timeless. Just open your heart for what is, for what you are. And relax in that, let go in that.
Okay, thank you, Werner. I will continue practicing patiently. Yes, I like to compare myself.
Right.
It is the problem.
Sure. Okay, I think
Okay.
we leave it at that for today. Huh? Yeah. Hari Om.
Yes.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.